you know, it's just now just another day as per usual. So
you can't tell the difference in school and something.
No, we can't. It's weird. Super weird.
Yes.
Hey, Gail?
Yes.
Zeb is trying to connect. Hold on, let's see who this is.
Connecting to audio. Zeb having technical difficulties.
Yeah, that's my understanding. There's Lisa. Who's got a delivery? Whose doorbell's ringing?
Oh.
Ralph's clock?
Ralph's clock, yeah. Better late than never, Zeb.
Oh, there he goes.
I know.
Oh, you're muted, Zeb.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
I hate Zoom meetings. This will be the last Zoom meeting. We're never doing Zoom meetings again.
Quit being a whiner.
This is hard.
I mean, we were all here like 10 minutes ago.
So. Yes.
Well, obviously my internet runs on a mouse and a wheel. Hold on just 1 second here.
Hamster.
Okay,
I do like the portrait view, Zeb. That's nice.
What's that? I don't even know how to fix that. I have no idea. It's like 1 second, I'm loading.
You should move to this side of town.
I should. So, like 1 second here. Okay. Pull the agenda up. 1 second here. Okay, I will go ahead as this loads. I will go ahead and call this meeting to order. This is a regular scheduled board meeting by Zoom. The Canton Town Board of Aldermen, Alderwomen. I assume all are present out there in internet land. Okay. Is there a motion? All are present. Is there a motion that we approve the minutes from last board meeting?
I make that motion. Gail makes that motion.
Okay. Is there a second?
Tim here.
Is there a second?
Second it. I second it.
Okay. All right. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? Okay. Motion passes. Since we're not there in person, I guess we will move. I'm trying to get my agenda to load. We will go into, what's that, Jason?
Mayor, communication from the mayor.
Yeah, that's next. Just briefly, I think it was announced on social media yesterday that in cooperation with Pisgah High School and the town, next Friday, June 5th, basically, I think Jason's from about 9 to 4 basically is the time that we're encouraging business owners that are in the main street corridor to basically put out everything red and black. We've also designated areas at Sarles Park beside the football stadium and right next to Ronnie Mills is a place where parents can put signs up. I guess the idea is after they do a graduation up at Pisgah, they will drive through town. Jason, is that basically your understanding as it stands now?
Yeah, in talking with them, it's going to be a very scattered type traffic pattern where they're going to have a certain number of individuals graduating, getting diplomas, leaving, families going through downtown. So I don't think there's any reason for any kind of major traffic control. They'll follow the existing lights and intersection. We will probably have a couple officers at those intersections just if there becomes a jam up. But no, Lisa and Natalie, I'm sorry, Ralph?
Will there be a police escort? You say there's going to be a police presence, but will there be an escort?
There will not be an escort. It's purely staff at the intersections there at Penland and at the end of Main Street there at the lights, just to make sure that they are there if there is any jam up by any sort. It's not going to be a parade. It's not going to be a procession. It's going to be a couple cars leave, a couple cars drive down. They see posters recognizing them, and they're gone.
Okay. This is, of course, worked out with the school, but just a point of information. Are the students going to get out of their cars and get their diploma? Or are they going to stay in the cars?
My understanding, and Zeb can chime in, I think 3 students are getting out of their cars at Pisgah High School at a time. Their family is going to go. There's going to be very controlled in terms of the outdoor gathering group. They're going to leave. They're going to get back in their car. They're going to proceed out of the school area. The next 3 are going to get out, get their diploma. That's not really our wheelhouse as much as just opening up Main Street and Penland for posters and recognition.
Okay.
If you look at what was sent to you or what was put on Facebook, it kind of details exactly how the ceremony is going to go, as well as the ride-by recognition.
Okay, that was a little bit unclear from the printout, and just a question there. I'm not going to belabor the point. Thank you.
Okay. But it's the least we can do. This graduate class has missed out on a whole lot. So, I mean, this is the least we can do as a town to sort of say thank you and be part of that graduation ceremony. That is the only update from me. Next, we will move into Aldermen and Alderwomen comments. We will start with Dr. Hamlet, since that's who I see on my screen. So.
Well, you may disagree with me, Zeb. I'm pleased that we can meet in this way. Watching or reading the Asheville Citizen Times and seeing the number of COVID-19 cases increasing at some of the nursing homes, I think we're doing the wise thing and setting an example and being responsible elected officials. So I hope we will continue this as long as numbers continue to rise in North Carolina, which unfortunately they are. But I appreciate, Jason, what you've done to you and Adley and Lisa as well to set up this meeting and showing how municipalities should be responsible. So thank you.
Okay, Alderman Shepherd. See, Alderman Shepherd. Is he on? So,
you can hold the stage.
Tim? Well, okay, I think he's on. There you go. Alderman Shepherd, do you have any updates?
Having some audio difficulties right here. I can't hear anybody right now. I might have to leave and come back into the meeting.
Okay, well, Mayor Pro Tem Mull.
I have no comment.
Alderwoman Smith.
So thanks, Seb, for talking about the graduation. I agree. I think it's incredibly important for these graduates coming up. They've missed out on a lot of rites of passage, and I think it's the town as well as the school system come together like that for them is very important for them and their families to celebrate. And I want to encourage people during the time of the unknown. It is a little cattywampus out there right now. And I think we're all having our patience tried, and we're all trying to be as patient as we can. And I encourage you to look for the helpers and the great things a lot of people in our community are doing, from organizing the graduation to Haywood County Schools Nutrition Program. There are a lot of wonderful people doing wonderful things for our community out there. And that includes, our town staff working on this budget. I believe after having lots of conversations, sorry, Jason, with him and Natalie, of course, about the budget, that we're hoping for the best while preparing for the worst. I think that there's lots of opportunity. If we see revenue significantly go down, we can pull strings throughout the year. At least that's, Jason, what you've communicated, and you feel very confident about that. So I thank you for that work. And I do encourage everybody, as we're going along through COVID and throughout the year, to understand that we will be making changes as we need to. At least that's, our approach right now. In the meantime, I encourage everybody, please, to lead with compassion, kindness, and understanding to one another. I think that's incredibly important at this time, and it's what we all need a little bit more of right now. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Okay.
I think Tim
Next.
may be back on, Zeb.
Okay, Tim, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear everybody now. I don't know what I did. I pushed the button.
Okay.
Uh,
Any alderman concerns?
I would just like to thank all of the town staff, just to echo Christina, and to echo you as well, to encourage people to come out and cheer on the graduates next week, because they have missed out on things. So that's all I have to say.
Got it. Okay. Next, public comments.
I got a question. I don't know if this is the time to chime in.
Who's that?
So I don't know if this is a good time to ask a question. Just trying to figure out what's going on with the Canton pool. I don't know if that's going to be discussed at any point.
Luke, we'll talk about that. Thank you.
Okay. Any other public comments? Okay. Okay, with none, we'll move on to reports from the manager.
Okay, a couple different things. I'll get to Luke's comment that wasn't submitted previously per the meeting, but Town Hall, the opening of Town Hall is still up in the air. Again, we'll launch that at the same time as every other municipality in the county will. We met via Zoom on Wednesday of this week. We're still trying to prep our offices and everything else for that opening. That'll probably be mid-month, but we'll update a week out from that happening. As with the pool, the intention is to open, let me look at my calendar here. The idea is to open June 8th if everything works out. We've got staff. We're taking precautionary measures with regard to getting equipment for them, the infrared, non-contact infrared thermometers. So that'll be a day-by-day type thing until those supplies come in, but expected June 8th. It'll be a normal schedule. We still have the pool parties in the evening. However, they'll be limited to 25 people. Any questions about the pool?
Jason,
Ralph,
would you
you're
elaborate
muted.
a little bit on protocol that you're planning for the pool, and it aligns with the county, I believe, is what you were hoping for, right?
It doesn't, you talking about the pool per se?
Yes.
Okay. Well, we're more mirroring ours with Waynesville's Wellness Center. So we'll have somebody checking temperatures at the gate. And the way the capacity works is our capacity is 322 on a normal day. It'll be cut to 161 with 60 people allowed in the pool at any given time. So we'll have guards on stand. We'll have a rover that's also cleaning facilities in conjunction with the ticket taker that's screening individuals walking in.
Jason.
Yep.
Because of the pool size, how are we going to maintain a safe distance? And I saw the images from Missouri, and I would hate for these similar images to come from the town of Canton. How do you foresee maintaining a safe distance for the people? And on another matter, and have you considered this? People who are asymptomatic are not showing a temperature rise. So checking people's temperature is really not effective. And this is according to reports from the CDC. So, you know, with asymptomatic people are still able to spread the virus, and they don't register with temperature reading. And I would much rather err on the side of caution. June 8th just seems extremely quick. And again, numbers of the cases are rising in North Carolina. And I just don't want to become part of the problem.
Sure, and I understand that. We're going by the governor's orders with regard to swimming pools and those regulations. If the board would not like to open the pool until a later day, that's an option. But we're just going by government standards in operation of pools. And
I think it should be a matter for the board to discuss as we move forward, as we come closer to the date, to have more discussion on the matter.
okay, I would love to hear what everybody else thinks.
I believe that's the protocol that you're proposing and matching Waynesville is suitable at this time. I always want to err with the side of caution. I agree with you, Ralph. I think following those governor's protocols and opening it up to a smaller amount of people, limiting the amount of people in the pool, watching it and monitoring it. I agree asymptomatic is an issue, but I believe it's important to also open the pool with the restrictions that the governor has placed on it, especially matching Waynesville and kind of having a cohesive approach to it. I know and I trust our town staff, and if there becomes an issue, that they'll communicate and act accordingly, and we can also help with that if need be. Anybody else?
I feel like that, you know, we follow the protocol, and if it becomes something we look at and see that there's an issue, we're starting to see problems with that, then we can make decisions to adjust that at a later time. But I think following the state protocol and
Yes, but we can be tougher than the state protocols, can we not?
William, that's a question for you.
Yeah, certainly the town can choose to follow it or do something more strict, or really whatever it thinks is in the best interest of the folks using the pool or in the town. I think I understood the question right. You asked if the town could go further or in direction from state protocol.
Yes.
Yeah, certainly.
Well, again, I would much rather err on the side of caution. And I know it would be the loss of revenue, but I would much rather protect our citizenry than to see disastrous results and then change what we're doing. And then what would be complaining after the horse got out of the barn. when we left the gates open.
Sure, and I agree with that. And I'm perfectly fine with operating either way. That's a decision made by you all in terms of a directive. So if there would like to be a motion to decide whether we open the pool for the time being until June 26th, that'd be perfectly fine with me.
Well, I think June 26th would give us a little bit more time to talk about this and see how numbers are going across the nation and what the recommendations of the CDC are. So I would be willing to make that motion.
Well, the only thing, Ralph, the only thing I suggest is that maybe a hybrid of this. I mean, sort of like what Tim said. I trust our staff and Jason to determine where we are. It's the same view I have with businesses opening up. I mean, we are following the governor's orders. They're basing it on a lot of facts and science. They've taken heat for what they've proposed out there. But my issue is that if we need to make changes, we can. But, I'm for leaving that in the discretion of the town staff to see where we are on the 8th. If we need to back it up there, because to be very honest with you, picking another date, there's still going to be cases happening. I mean, it's the difficulty of trying to make policy in all this. But I think that I can trust town staff if we feel we're not ready, and we can chime in on where things are going, to leave that in their discretion to see whether the pool opens June 8th, June 10th, June 30th, July 4th. There's not going to be a clear-cut date for any of this, for any, whether it's business or recreation, to come back. So I would rather leave it in discretion of town staff to make that right decision and take our advice along the way.
Join the meeting.
Well, I would like us to be proactive in what we do. We've seen many governors, and I would suggest that Roy Cooper is one of the governors who is taking heat from people, and I would suspect maybe opening up too quickly when perhaps caution should be advised. And I would like this board to be a part of the conversation. I do trust Jason and the staff, but we are talking about people's well-being, their health. And I personally, as a board member, do not want to be responsible for endangering anyone's lives by acting too quickly. And again, I would much rather exercise caution. And I've spent quite a bit of time thinking about this, and even latter June seems perhaps too quick for me. And maybe I am being more conservative on this matter, but I'm worried about a second wave. And we've been lucky in Hayward County, but we do see cases rise. And I just want to make sure that our people are protected.
Again, I think the big thing is, kind of a authoritative direction from you all how to proceed, because we're prepared to proceed. And I think we have the safety precautions in place to proceed with hand sanitizers on the site, protocol in place, temperature, thermometer checking at the door, asymptomatic, whatever the case may be.
Right.
But with the hand sanitizing and everything else, it's a directive from you all. If you want to talk about it, feel free to.
June 8th is only a week away, and if I had a child, I would not send it to the pool in a week. Because we're still with masks, we're still, just
Sure.
the restaurants.
Our guards will have masks on as they are around the pool decks.
So Jason, a question for you then. Sorry, Gail. Is that okay if I? Okay.
Yes, please.
So how does staff feel? Are they?
Well, the lifeguards are ready to work, essentially.
Yeah.
But like I said, the lifeguards that were on the stand, that would be on the stand, would not have masks on because they have to have whistle protection or be able to use their whistles. Other
Right.
staff at the facility would be required to have
Masked.
masks on.
Okay.
You can't protect everybody. You can't protect everybody at Ingalls either. You know, from that standpoint,
Right.
from a mask on, mask off, you can only do your best. But again, that discussion is something that you all need to have as a board and provide direction for.
Well, I do have concerns. Again, the virus is transmitted aerosol. And if you've seen reports about even singing in a choir, that a projection, and if you've been at the pool with small children around, they yell, they scream, you know, always fun. But this provides a perfect environment for the spread of this virus. Now, we can always say we're going to do the best that we can do. But I'm sorry, if I had a child and, or if my mother became infected and I could have stopped it, I don't know how the hell I would live with myself. And I would, again, much rather err on the side of caution and do the right thing than to open too quickly.
And that's always an option as well. Take your child or take your family to the pool.
Open for business, though, sometimes it seems attractive that the town is doing what is safe and people are protected because people trust us. And if it's open, well, it must be safe. And that could be misleading.
This is a tough call.
It's ultimately
and there's
your
no-
call
this is-
as a board.
This is a debate that is raging across the country in every boardroom over every issue. The same thing can be said about restaurants, shops. There is going to be no special date. There is no precaution that's going to be 100%. Like Jason said, it's a judgment call. My thought process is I'm in line with what the government recommendations are saying. We can be tougher. We can delay the date. We can make a motion to say we're not opening the pool. I've had several people contact me wanting to know when the pool is going to be open. They have a choice whether to come or not. You have a choice to wear a mask or not wear a mask. I'm wearing a mask. It's just one of those things. It's a personal preference. There is no easy answer on this one. We're going to be damned if we do and damned if we don't. But we've got as a board make that call because it's the same as anything else. Right now with our restaurants, you could go and be exposed to someone who's asymptomatic. I mean, it is a whole new world. The best we can go on is the regulations from the governor who through his staff said public pools, if you go by social distancing laws, then you can open up. It sounds like we're ready to do that under the governor's initiative. But again, this rests with the board. I wish there was a magical date, Ralph. We could say everything's going to be okay. That may not come. We may get this right or wrong no matter what we decide. But this is a challenge for all of us and for every elected official across this country.
If we get it wrong, we are endangering people. And then if we get it wrong, how do we say, hey, guys, I'm sorry? I don't think we can. And again, I'm going to look at myself in the mirror and say I did the right thing. And we may lose revenue, but you can never replace a life. So I would like to exercise caution, and I would recommend a delay. I would like to know how distancing is going to be enforced. I would like to see a little bit more from the professionals about asymptomatics. So I would advocate for the lake.
Jason, I have a question for you as far as the distance in the area around the pool. Are there going to be, are we going to have markers or something like that to kind of show people where 6 feet is and that kind of stuff, or what's the plan for that?
The idea is to still approach it the same way as restaurants are able to accommodate families and everything else. That'll be a space area 6 feet from there. Another family or another individual can be at. Again, what you have to understand is this is allowed in restaurants, it's allowed at Lowe's, it's allowed at Ingles, it's allowed everywhere else, except for Buncombe County. But social distancing is just the relative nature you have to social distance yourself from somebody else. And like I said, if you can have a family of 10 sitting at a table and that be okay, as long as you're 6 feet away from another table, I think it's a little above and beyond to say, well, you can't swim in chlorinated water with somebody else and still be 6 feet apart. But again, you all make those rules. I have a recommendation that I would like to go with the governor and those recommendations and every other pool in Haywood County. That's just me.
What do we need?
I think Ralph made a motion, I believe, a while ago. I think so.
I didn't formally make the motion, but I'm willing to do it. I make a motion.
Ralph, let me ask you this. Do you have a comfort level of opening the pool June 15th? That gives us a board meeting before that opening date to see where numbers are. And that's a June 15th. That is a delay of 1 week past the 8th. My understanding is Waynesville's doing the 8th to see where we are.
Waynesville's doing June 1st.
June 1st? Okay. So that gets us to June 15th. That gives us a board meeting to see where numbers are. Because again, it's like everything else that say, if numbers and hospitalizations and deaths increase in Haywood County, then there's going to be a lot of policies to change. But right now we're operating on what we see and what the governor's directing us to do. But if we say we're going to open June 15th and we roll into June 11th and we have a different situation on our hands, then we could pull the plug. Just like if we said we're good to go and something happens, Jason could pull the plug at any point. But, you know, I'm for opening the pool per governor's orders and per social distancing, much in line with our businesses and restaurants. Would a June 15th date be appropriate? Do you feel better about that compared to June 8th or June 26th?
June 15th, I'm more comfortable. Probably even a later date for me, but I'm am willing to compromise for the 15th, which would give us another board meeting to continue the conversation. But in that conversation that we will have at the next board meeting, I think it needs to be informed by the data, looking at how many cases that we have here in Haywood County, as well as in Buncombe County as well, because we are going to get people not only from Waynesville, Bethel, Clyde, but we're going to attract people to our pool from outside as well. And once again, yeah, we would like to have the pool open. It has a place of presence, and it's something that we can be proud of. But we are responsible for our citizenry. And yeah, the governor has protocols in place, but we can be stricter in what we do. And I think that we should err, if we are erring, on the side of caution. But I don't think it's an erring on the side of caution. I think it's the right thing to do.
Ralph, let me ask you this, because we're in phase 2 of the governor's proclamation. We are now beginning to rent sheds at Rec Park if they conform with the governor's 25 outside gathering limit, indoor at 10. Also summer camps and day camps. Are we, and weddings and everything else, are we just nixing all of those for the same purpose? Or is it purely swimming pools we're talking about?
I think the swimming pool because of the vineyard. Now, the sheds, you limit people, and if you look at the size of the shed and trying to you can better maintain a social distance. Now, if we see that distances aren't being maintained, then I would suggest we close rental of the sheds.
But at the same time, you can have a wedding of 300 people because that is protected by Governor Cooper's declaration.
Yeah, but we can be stricter in that, can we not, if we use the Army for a wedding?
That's what I'm asking. Where's the line in terms of limiting protocol?
Well, you're the manager, Jason. We look at the size of the building, and we determine what is best for the size of the building, and if need to, say if it's a colonial theater, we limit more the people who can attend than say at the Armory.
Jason, can I ask you a question real quick?
Sure.
So Waynesville's opening up a week ahead of us, yes? I heard that correctly. So are they, what kind of data collection are we going to have as far as knowing or being able to find out anything about people at the pool, there's visit the pools, having to, or having symptoms or anything like that, as far as being able to tell whether or not there's an increase here locally versus, you know, just looking at North Carolina's numbers?
Well, the idea is locating or operating a week later is because we can kind of test drive what they're seeing in terms of their numbers. If they're running into issues, we can adapt accordingly on what we do. Again,
so we're going to be sharing information back and forth between the two.
Rob and Amy are great over there. And we kind of set our stuff up just like Joy and I set our stuff up with Clyde, and launch everything at the same time, launch it the same way, kind of run everybody's steps the same way. So everybody's on the same playing field and it's universal. We're just not ready in terms of equipment to do that June 1st date. But at the same time, I mean, data, you can interpret data however you want to. I could tell you exactly the numbers of COVID cases in Haywood County. And to one person, it may mean something. To somebody else, you can look at another state or another county and it not be. That's a personal preference in terms of how you determine that data means. Whether it's a evolved issue or whether it's a reason to shut down the town. I get my information from the school government, from League of Municipalities, from other managers, and the county and I and the municipalities talk on a weekly basis about how to plan accordingly.
I like the idea of understanding what Waynesville's doing and how it's going, because I know that I got their recreation newsletter since they have that, the whole fitness center, and they are taking temperature, just like you were talking about, Jason, so thank you. And they're doing a couple of other measures. And so I think, yeah, they do a great job over there too. So just kind of seeing what they do, I think that's a great call. So thank you.
I would like to have an opportunity, Jason, for you and staff to have the board at the pool and show us the logistics, how you intend to separate people and see some sort of plan. And that's how we could use some of the time between now and June the 15th before we make our final decision.
So Ralph,
Yeah,
you are,
this is a board decision. Doesn't matter to me.
Ralph, you're comfortable with June 15th?
No, well, to revisit it again, because then we have the board meeting prior to that.
Right.
So,
Well, I think we have to say at this board meeting, and this is one of those judgment calls, and this is what we don't get paid for. We got to say, are we opening the pool, and what date are we going to open it? Because we have lifeguards, we have town staff, we have communications, we have the media. It is a question of A, are we opening the pool this year? And B, what date are we going to do it on? At any given point before or after that, the world could change and things could be made, and we could have everything from emergency meetings and or town staff discretion to make that call. But it's come time to make that A and B decision. A, are we doing it? And B, when?
Well,
I think we can say, I don't think it has to be A and B. I think we can say, yes, we intend to open the pool. Date will be determined.
this is my professional opinion. If you choose to delay opening until July 15th or June 15th, you might as well not open the pool this season, because historically what we've run into is staff, if we have school, which is still unknown, they'll go back sometime in the August timeframe. So we're talking about 2 months of operation. So if you're unwilling to open the pool, I say we just nix the pool for this year and hope for the best next year. Because there's no reason to delay it until June 15th, just to delay it till June 28th or 29th or whenever that is. And now we're into July and you want to open it to July for a month, you're going to lose all your guards. And that's perfectly fine too. But if consensus, the board does not want to open this pool or they want to open this pool, I say that's the way we proceed and we adapt after that. But we can't backtrack. We can't delay for the rest of the season and have guards stringing out there, have all the operation aspects stringing out there. We can retract and adapt to what the data shows or whatever cases or what everybody else is doing or what the governor does. That's just my professional opinion.
Again, I would much rather be cautious. And first come to shove, I would say don't open it this year. However, I could see a delay opening. But it seems to be an efficacy argument that delay is somehow going to hinder operations, and seeming to me what is left out of this conversation is the health of the citizenry. And that's my primary concern. And because of that, I would be, if push comes to shove, I would say, don't open the pool.
Well, for time's sake, let's start there. Ralph, I mean, again, I'm not pushing you to make a motion. Are you going to make that motion not to open the pool?
Yes, I'm
not trying to force your hand. I'm just trying to figure out for business sake where we're at in this conversation.
Well, I had another motion was for a delay. But if you would like me to start on that continuum at the furthest reach, I will begin there. Because
I'm not saying you have to. I'm just trying to figure out what we're doing here.
Well,
Ralph, why don't we say June 15th? Let's set that date before we burn our bridges.
Well, so we can have the conversation again, which is what I was going to suggest first. My original motion was to say June 15th, come back together, continue with this conversation, and then do what we think is the right thing to do.
But, and we can say, Ralph, if everything is fine with the Waynesville pool, if everything's going well,
Gail, we keep talking about the Waynesville pool.
right?
Now, if you look at our pool, it is different. Now, I'm good for Waynesville and what they're doing, but it is a different venue at our pool.
Theirs is indoor, which would actually, if
Be
COVID
worse.
had a,
Actually, you've
Indoor
got
present.
ventilation too in an indoor pool. And according to the CDC, that without ventilation, now you are on the outside, of course, and it's more of a confined space.
I think we're ready to discuss.
Well, there wasn't a motion. How about this? Let me try this one out. Is there a motion that we open the pool this season?
I make that motion.
All right. Is there a second?
I second it.
Okay. Is there any discussion as to the principle of opening the pool for the summer of 2020?
will the individuals that made a motion state their name?
Christina, I made the motion first.
Jim seconded.
Okay. All right. Any discussion as to just the principle of opening the pool? Let's get that out of the way first.
Okay, this will be on the principle of opening the pool. It's
Yes,
non-committal.
that's it.
Okay,
Okay. All in favor of saying opening the pool for summer of 2020 for the town of Canton, say aye.
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 Any nays? Okay, motion passes. So the directive of the town manager is to open the pool this summer. Now, if there is any other, is any other motions addressing anything else as to the date?
well, I would make a motion that we consider June 15th the earliest possible date to open the pool.
Alderman
Yeah.
Hamlet's a motion to open the pool on June 15th.
The earliest
Is there a
possible-
second?
No, let's be clear here. I'm not saying we are going to open the pool on the 15th. I'm saying the earliest possible date. Pending discussions by the manager and the board.
Okay. Is there a second?
Gail seconds it.
All right, discussion.
I feel, just looking at it and listening to from the discussion that we've had, that we go with June, the original plan. It's in line with the states and the governor's directives, and so that's where I feel on this.
I'm the same with Alderman Shepherd.
As to the date of
Following
what?
the governor's
Of June-
directives and June 8th.
So we, this date that you're suggesting, we would open prior to the next board meeting.
Yes.
So the board would not have any input in this.
Have any what?
Input.
I believe we're having the input at this moment. I
don't
believe
think
that-
so. I don't think so. I think that I would like to see the protocols about maintaining safe distancing. I would like to see, and Jason, you said you could quote data all day. but the data that I've seen suggests that taking a person's temperature does not reveal whether they may be spreading the virus or not. And I think we need to see more of that information. And this is just new. This is new information. And,
Sure. And my point is this:
I think a week. I think a week.
My apprehension with that is a week extra is going to turn into another 2-week decision, which turns into July, and we still don't have a decision because it's a belief system of individuals versus what the governor stated as
Is
opportunity.
the governor doing what he knows to be best, or is he also being forced by elements saying open the state up?
That's not my take nor yours.
But you keep saying the governor is doing this and we're going to follow his protocols, and you've got to consider that. Well,
Again, it's a board decision on how we proceed.
well, again, lives are important to me, and I'm sure that they're important to every one of us on the board, and we would not want to endanger anyone's lives. And I think delaying to consider and then trying to make a reasonable decision about June the 15th is a wise one. Because what I'm hearing is it's a fait accompli. That we say June the 8th and it's a done deal. And I am not comfortable in that whatsoever. Again, there's much rather err on the side of caution.
Jason, let me ask you this question. Between now and June 8th, what is the information, what are you looking for to make the decision or to change that, to back that up? What are you looking at to say, hey, look, if this is happening, then we're not opening June 8th? Just what's your basic, information you're looking at?
Again, I talk to a lot of people about this pandemic and I gather a lot of information. The level of comfort is very unknown between everyone, but this is purely a decision you all make. This is directive that you actually have to vote on and take a stand on and make a decision on. I can give you my professional opinion. We can all have personal opinions, but there is no level of data that's going to make everyone feel at ease about what we're doing. I still have public works individuals working. I still have police working. I still have fire department individuals working. I understand a lot of what you're saying, but at the same time, this is an operational component, which I'm just asking from guidance for you all to make a decision on whether you want to open this pool or not. Because I think delaying it is futile and a waste of everyone's time in terms of guards hanging out there, not knowing whether they have a job. At the same time, we're running around chasing our tail, deciding whether we're going to open. And I'd rather just nix it by a vote. Are we comfortable as a board addressing this as it progresses and trusting staff, or are we not? And we're just going to kick it to next year. It's a very simple decision to be made, but it doesn't need to be belabored and delayed.
Well, Jason, I disagree. I don't think it's a simple decision to be made.
Any other discussion? Okay. Dr. Hamlet has a motion in front of the board. Ralph, it is to open the pool June 15th, correct?
Correct, with more information being supplied to the board about the specific protocols.
Okay. All in favor say aye. All nays.
Nay.
Okay.
Christina nayed.
Please, guys, as you vote, say your name and your vote for the record.
Tim
Sorry.
voted nay. Sorry.
Gail voted aye.
Ralph Hamlet voted aye.
Okay. Well, I get to have the pleasure on this. In accordance with the town manager's recommendations and the governor's orders with an eye on safety, and this can be modified, I will vote nay. Now we're back to where we started at trying to find a new date. Is there a motion for a new date to start the pool other than June 15th?
I make the motion that we start with on June 8th, the original date that was set.
Is there a second?
Christina seconds.
Discussion.
If we say June 8th, is it hell or high water? We open on June the 8th?
No, sir.
I would say
Anything
absolutely.
needs to be augmented. If anything needs to be augmented or delayed or changed from the data that I get, or preventative protective equipment that's in place, it will be modified.
I would like the motion amended then, because I'm hearing the motion, June the 8th, that does not allow for a change in it, which means June the 8th is the opening date. So I would like someone to offer an amendment to the resolution saying that with allowances for reconsideration.
Do we just need to say I make that motion for an amendment to the motion?
Yeah, you've made the motion and there's a second, and add the amendment.
I make that motion to amend opening as Jason receives more information if he feels uncomfortable or does not receive the tools that he needs to open based on his comfort level.
Okay. Is there a second to that amendment?
I second it. Tim seconds it.
Okay. Is there a discussion as to the amendment? Okay. And Ralph, I think that is a fair and good amendment. So let's try this one. Let's vote on the amended motion as it stands, which is opening the Canton pool for summer 2020, June 8th of this year, as long as the town manager and staff has the discretion to change that and make sure the equipment is in line to do so. Is that a fair representation of the amendment?
We're still having discussions, so let me throw this out. I would like Jason and staff to be in conversation with the board on a regular basis between now and June the 8th. Now, we could take this as a second amendment, so it would have force, but I want a constant conversation and probably daily leading up to the opening on June the 8th, if in fact we do that. Because again, I want all the information available.
Okay. So I've lost sort of count where we are with amendments and all that. Was that an amendment, Ralph, or you just put that in discussion here?
That could be part of the discussion, but I think so. We have force behind it. I will make the.
Well, Ralph, let me ask you this. I think Jason has demonstrated this. I mean, I would expect that Jason's going to keep us updated. That's sort of, I think, is baked in, not just this decision, but every decision that we make. Would you just want some consensus on that from Jason that will keep us constantly updated on that? And
because of the severity of this issue, and we're talking, and I'm not being hyperbolic here, but we are actually talking about life and death. If we go it wrong, people are going to suffer. And I want to make sure that I have as many weapons in my arsenal as possible so I can make the right decision.
I suggest that Ralph make offer that as a second amendment to the motion that's still on the floor. If you want to pursue it, Ralph. I mean,
Okay, I will make the motion that,
Amendment.
Jason, communicate to the board, in a timely manner about the protocols in place for the opening of the pool on June the 8th.
Okay, there is a second amendment. There's a second amendment. Is there a second to Dr. Hamlet's second amendment?
Gail seconds it.
Okay. Any discussion as to the second amendment? Okay. All in favor of our town manager giving us timely updates, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Gail
All
says
opposed?
aye.
By name,
Name.
please.
Gail, aye.
Christina, I.
Tim, I.
Ralph Hamlet, aye.
Okay. All right. Now that leaves us with the amended motion with all of those additions to June 8th for opening of the pool. All in favor, say aye. Well, first off, we did discussion. We did it correctly. We did get the second. All in favor, say aye by stating your name.
Ralph Hamlet, aye.
Gail Mull, aye.
Christina Smith, I.
Tim Shepherd, aye.
Okay, motion passed with the amendments. Well, that was fun. Okay. We are still in reports from the manager, Jason. So.
I have no comment. Moving
Too
on.
late.
Not applicable.
Cash report, yes.
I do not have a cash report in front of me, so I will provide that to you by email tomorrow.
Blame Natalie.
Yeah.
Hey, when does Natalie want to open the pool?
Natalie can't swim.
weeks
Leave her
ago.
out of this.
All right, updates.
I think pretty much just the pool discussion's already taken place.
You think,
So I don't want to rehash that. So if you would like to move on to new business,
Okay.
I
you
would.
can actually probably, Zeb, lump that all into, I can go through the budget with you and just open it up for the public hearing part, which obviously there is no, it'd probably be wise. William, you may weigh in. If you just wanted to open it up, the public hearing part, I'd do the rundown of the budget and then go from there. And again, individuals have between this week and next meeting to submit comments or concerns about the budget, lead into the next budget meeting, which is in June.
was the public hearing, I thought tonight was, I'm dealing with this all the towns. I thought tonight was just the presentation of the budget message. Am I wrong about that?
Negative. They set a public hearing at the last meeting.
Okay, all right then.
The way the electronic version of protocol goes is typically you'd be able to make a motion and approve the budget at the end of the public hearing. However, if you do it electronically, they have to
Right.
until the following meeting to actually approve the budget, which gives citizens time to submit any kind of questions, comments that they would like to see or like to hear.
Right. So I think you can, I know one town I work for has done the budget message 159-11B is in written format, and it's going to hit the highlights on the high up overview of it on June 1st, which is the last day for the budget message. So I think you can handle it any way you want. Was the last meeting, was that the budget message or just the last meeting where it was being discussed and so forth?
That was the workshop where
Right,
it was
okay.
discussed and decided that they would hold the public hearing tonight.
Right. Well, so long as you can handle tonight any way you want, but so long as the requirement is, as long as we can cross off the requirement of it, the presentation of a budget message, and then so I would suggest, I guess, for you to go first so we can take care of that and then have the public hearing. Or, I mean, typically the public hearing comes after the budget message. Which your presentation that I think you said you were, it's ever how you want to do it. But I want to be able, the town should be in a position to say, yes, we received the budget message. Which can be as detailed or not as you want it to be. And it can even be arguably, especially these days, be in writing. So.
Okay, how about we approach it like this? I'm going to go through the presentation of the budget based on what we've had discussion of at our workshops. And then there's an opportunity to have a public hearing, which obviously we have no public that are actually weighing in on this meeting. However, if you would like to have another public hearing at the following board meeting on June 11th, you may. And then the budget could still be adopted on the 25th of June. How does that sound to you, William?
That sounds fine. That's as long as adopted in time. So yeah, that sounds fine.
Why are we not doing the public hearing tonight based on the agenda? I apologize. I'm a little confused.
You only have to have one public hearing on the budget, and you've set it for tonight. Of course, there's this format is challenging.
Yeah. Okay.
But Jason has invited the written comment. The statute requires for holding meetings during the state declared emergency via this format that you accept written comments. And so if you anticipate going live, so to speak, or back in the council chamber, then I think Jason's suggestion is a good one. And you could continue this public hearing even to a date and time certain. And
okay,
as we've done before in various matters.
Okay. Jason, if that's your recommendation, do you need anything from us or?
No, let me just present this. And like I said, again, we've always done this where the managers presented the budget, then you've had a public hearing and public's had an opportunity to weigh in on the budget at that meeting. We've never done it backwards where there's a presentation of budget, we have a public hearing 2 following weeks later. But I would be amenable to that to give extra amount of time for responses to be heard. The next meeting, we also have a public hearing on it where those comments we've gotten in between this week and the following meeting can be brought up via virtual or be brought up via in person at that meeting. Just to work through this debacle.
Would be able to vote, Jason, after the next public meeting, will we vote that night on it?
More than likely, Gail, I would just kick it to possible adoption on the 25th now that it's gotten so clustered.
And Jason, just out of, I was scrolling through this Zoom, whatever it is, it does seem that there may be some members of the public on this meeting. I just want to make clear that if they had questions, I think that per Zoom protocol, they have to be submitted beforehand. But they can raise this if we push this public hearing to the next meeting. Those have to, report then. Correct? It does
Yes,
really have some public on here.
No,
In theory,
you should be able to just press the unmute button if you have a comment. That's how I asked that question earlier. This is Luke
Yeah.
here from here, by the way.
in theory, the way this will work is I'll present the budget now. Those individuals will have the next 2 weeks to submit any public comment that they would like or information they would like expressed during the public hearing. That's what legislatively it says. You have to give them a period of time to submit their information or concerns about the budget presented before it can be adopted.
Let's take a motion.
Well,
We can,
What was that, Ralph?
ask William, would this take a motion?
At the appropriate time, I suggest we hear presentation from Jason, the highlights, the elements of the budget, and then you could make a motion to continue the previously announced public hearing to June 11th at 6:30, and get the word out any way you can, but the way you normally do. The public hearing is held open, rather than closing the public hearing. And we've done that before. Statute says rather than closing the public hearing, you can continue it, the motion to continue it to a date and time certain. Just provide for that. So in other words, hear from Jason. You could hear from any of those that are on the meeting tonight if you choose to, but let's hear from Jason, a presentation of the budget, and then make a motion to continue the hearing until June 11th, 6:30.
Okay.
That'd be my recommendation. I mean, or if you don't really open the public hearing tonight, I think you should, but since it was advertised and set at the last meeting, and then you could immediately close it and continue it to the June 11th without a need to any kind of re-advertisement or anything. But you could do that too if you wanted to. Go ahead and advertise it again, post City Hall door and social media, whatever, and then essentially hold the public hearing on June 11th instead of tonight. That's what I'm saying.
Jason, was the public meeting not advertised and the public was asked to submit their questions in writing?
There were, but they also have a leeway after the presentation if they so choose to be a part of this meeting, where you have to, typically, the way this works is the board could adopt the budget after the presentation, after the public hearing is held, if they choose. A lot of government institutions choose to wait until the next following meeting. Now, because it's electronic, you have to, in the fact that they have to be able to see or hear the presentation, and if they're not on the video, have time to weigh in.
Right.
So,
I understand.
yeah.
So do you, sorry, Jason, you were muted.
No, I'm sorry. Yes. With no further ado, are you ready for the presentation of the proposed 2021 budget?
Yes.
Basically, as detailed during the previous workshop, we are expecting a 10% decrease in sales tax and a couple of other areas of governmental funding. based on the unknown with regard to the COVID-19 crisis. That having been said, we've prepared a very scalable budget, which I feel is always very conservative on the revenue side, a little bit more so this budget year. But at the same time, on the expenditure side, as we go through that, is something that can be moved throughout the fiscal year to see how the revenue is coming in versus what the spending is. A lot of the projects that we have in the expenditure side are things that are already funded, whether it be the boat launch from the Duke Progress Energy money, the $100,000 from that, or other projects recreationally bound that are Crusoe endowment funds, or other state funding. So the items that we are revenue dependent on can be delayed if needed to see how the revenue is coming in and what the pandemic of COVID-19, what effect that has. So in your packet, you should have a schedule of revenues from the general fund. Those total estimated revenue for general fund is expected at $6,370,226. From there, on your schedule of revenues for water and sewer based on water charges, sewer charges, tap connections, reconnection fees, that is estimated at $2,372,235. In addition, I will add that as the utility disconnection clause theoretically ends at the end of May, going into the 1st of June, we are prepared to submit to those individuals that have been delinquent during this period of time a payment plan policy that states basically they must comply up front with any arrears for February, March. At that point in time, they're able to set up a payment plan for the following utility. Governor Cooper declared utility disconnection waiver. So we feel fairly comfortable about water and sewer revenues as that moves forward. In terms of scheduled revenues for recreation fund, you see there some of the expected revenue coming from Crusoe endowment, which is $60,000 based on previously approved projects from them, as well as Camp Hope revenues of $20,000, anticipated pool admissions of $40,000, which is still obviously up in the air, and pool party rental. Also, you'll see Colonial Theater revenues are expected at $15,000 with a transfer from general fund of $629,782 to balance the revenue expenditure portion of things. So for schedule of revenue for recreation, that total is $783,332. Is everyone following along, or am I moving too fast? Okay, next with regard to summary of expenditures for the governing board, general government, that is estimated at $33,710. For administration, $157,815. Finance, $331,300. For legal, $25,000, which there were some questions in the budget workshop at the last meeting about that, and we did add $8,000 to that to assist Wanda as she does or pursues tax collection in foreclosure proceedings. Planning and economic development, $417,415. Again, that includes approximately $120,000 going to Labor Day, which will be another discussion we'll have probably at the next meeting, or 1st of July in terms of what that looks like in the phase 2 versus potential of going into phase 3 of Governor Cooper's proclamations and declarations. Municipal buildings, $152,150. Again, a lot of that is just operation, flood insurance, etc. Nothing else other than expected or unexpected cost added in for possible repairs to the building and supplies, departmental supplies and salaries. For public safety, you'll see police, $1,726,285. The only thing, if you take away from the workshop discussion that they are doing, is the potential grants for, I believe, some additional tasers, as well as some new consoles, which they have funding for part of that. I believe half of that through Governor's Highway Safety Commission. For fire, their expenditure is expected at $926,526, bringing public safety to $2,652,811. For public works, which includes traffic engineering, central services, streets, street cleaning and sweeping, horticulture, POW bill, sanitation, and landfill, that is expected to be expenditure-wise $1,874,000 and $790. The big thing there is we added some money back into POW bill for 2021 for the purpose of paving some additional streets. If you recall, we finished completing some patching and paving up in the Spruce Street area. We're looking kind of the other area of town for this coming year. We still have a little bit of money that we're working on sidewalks right now, but primary focus is going to be finishing up newfound sidewalks, making some improvements streetscape wise, and then doing some paving in the Wesley area of town and around that area. Canton Historical Museum, $40,895. Non-departmental, $12,000. Debt service payment, $30,028. Transfer to Recreation Department is that $642, $312 that I mentioned previously. So expenditures for general funds, $6,370 and $226. I don't know why I'm having a problem with that. Natalie's a little typing. $6,370,226.
You don't have to take that, Natalie.
I'm trying to make eye contact with you all and then look down and see these little numbers. Summary of expenditures for water and sewer fund, non-departmental, debt service payment, administration, engineering, and billing. For administration, engineering, and billing, we mentioned that we were going to have to upgrade some software with regard to the meter reading system. That software is expired via the non-support of Windows 7 moving forward. I believe that was about $20,000 worth of upgrades for that software system, which, you know, last year we upgraded $22,000 to $25,000 worth of computers internally because they had not been updated previously to accommodate for the unsupport of Windows 7. Water supply, pumping, and filtration. Those projects include looking at upgrades potentially to the filtration plant, which we've actually had several conversations with engineers in the last couple of weeks about looking at some of those projects and figuring out the best protocol for that. A lot of that, as in addition to the water distribution and wastewater, is going to be based on that AIA feasibility study, which is actually, I think I talked to the engineer earlier today, and I think he said it's about 92, 93% completed. So a lot of those water filter plant upgrades will be included in that. And also, too, that's the purpose of doing that, where we can prioritize kind of next steps for infrastructure as we move forward.
That's great news, Jason. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, and I also mentioned, I believe, in an update, maybe at that workshop, that we were looking at doing a feasibility study very similar to this for sewer. The idea there is to make a more charted course on exactly what we do and what undertakings we have, as opposed to all over the board based kind of chasing our tails. So the prioritization of both the water and sewer, hopefully AIA, will tell us what our biggest concerns are, what our biggest issues are, and also too where we can kind of foreshadow where we should kind of move in terms of projects.
So are you thinking the sewer will do this year? I'm sorry if I missed that. part
Yes,
in here?
we'll apply for it. We'll apply
Okay,
for it
gotcha.
this year.
Okay, thank you.
It's kind of a rolling pot of feasibility money that you're able to apply for. So, but you want to finish up one before you kind of move to the other. So when I get
And that
to
makes complete sense.
water AIA, then we start saying, okay, here's our water issues. Here's what we need to be looking for that. Now that we have this information, let's move on to sewer. Go from there.
Okay. Zeb, you're muted. Sorry, I thought you were asking a question.
I think he's rocking a baby. He's in terms of water distribution and wastewater collection, we did see a little bit of increase there in terms of departmental supplies because we're looking at doing some different undertakings in replacement of lines in fiscal year 2020, 2021. But that still at the same time stayed kind of where it was last year. I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but I believe all of these budget areas are kind of in line with what they are currently in current fiscal budget, and maybe a little bit lower actually. With regard to sewage treatment, that is $343,500. We have seen a little bit of increase in that based on needed addition of hypo at our pretreatment facility there going in kind of the mill. But we hope to see that decrease moving forward, especially into 2020, 2021. But we just kind of went by what we have been seeing for the last couple of months. So summary of expenditures for water and sewer for 2020, 2021 is $2,372,235. With regard to summary of expenditures for recreation fund, you have non-departmental, you have debt service payment, which is the pool in the amount of $69,212. Recreation area and facilities, Colonial Pathway Center, recreational concessions, armory, international sports complex, and recreation planning and administration. The majority of what's included in recreation from an expenditure standpoint is going to be either the furthering of the rec master plan and rec trail plan for the Chestnut Mountain Recreation Park that's proposed on Old Asheville Highway. Also too, the dog park for Canton Rec Park, which is being funded partially by Crusoe Endowment. And we've also talked to Rotary about assisting with that project. And Crusoe Endowment actually paid for part of the planning for both Sorrel Street and Canton Rec Park to look at those areas and see how they could be further developed and more modernized to be more accommodating. We've got some plans for Sorrel Street and Rec Park, and I'll share those with you at our next meeting. More than likely our next in-person meeting would be best because I have larger plans for that. But again, all three of those plans are partially or in whole planned and paid for by Crusoe Endowment. Again, we've talked about doing some improvements at International Sports Complex. Mitchell Whitener's done a fantastic job in advising on what needs to be done to those fields, as well as talking with Johnny Gibson, our street department head, about what can be done at the ball field at Rec Park. The problem there is a grading issue, more or less, and additional field needed. But I think we've got a pretty workable plan there. So I feel very comfortable with his kind of guidance on what needs to be done at those locations with regard to International Sports Complex, those fields, and then the river field. And recreational planning and administration, a lot of that's just kind of what we talked about in terms of the Duke Progress money being spent. I'd have to look at the worksheet, but I think part of that is the boat launch and Chestnut Mountain as well. Yeah. So in conclusion, your recreation fund summary of expenditures is $783,332. So just to recap, your general fund revenue and expenditures, $6,370,226. Water and sewer, $2,372,235. Recreation fund, $783,332. Total revenue and total expenditure being $9,525,793, less a transfer from general fund to recreation of $642,312. And I will again add, as we did at the workshop, based on kind of the balancing mechanism that we use between ultra conservative revenue estimates and liberal expenditure costs. The last 3, possibly 4 years, we've been very successful of not having to use that transfer as proposed or very minimal amounts. Again, that's based on the hard work of employees and conscientious spending from an administration staffing standpoint across all departments. Any questions, comments?
Thank you, Jason, for all your hard work on that. It is great to see a lot of the programming continue with a conservative bent, and I see it's going down year over year for recreation fund, pushing money over. Sorry, I'm sitting on a fitness ball and it makes these funny sounds, and I apologize to everybody on the call. I can prove it.
Thank you, Natalie, for all your hard work.
Yes, thank you, Natalie. Yeah, good point, Gail. We don't call her out enough.
You fell off your ball.
I did. I do that sometimes.
Okay. All right. That is the presentation of the proposed 2021 budget. Any other discussion from the board?
When do we decide whether we're going to extend the public hearing to June the 11th? Is that now?
I'm looking at the statute now. We're trying to on this small screen. So on the same day that the budget is presented to the board, it's filed with the clerk. The clerk shall make a copy of the budget available to the public and news media, the statement shall also give notice of the time and place of the budget hearing required by subsection B, which is the public hearing requirement. So, and then you adopt the budget ordinance not earlier than 10 days after the date the budget is presented to the board, which just occurred, and not later than July 1st. So, I think it would be appropriate for the board to, you could frame it as a motion to continue the public hearing, but given that we have time and we're planning on meeting live next time, I think that you could simply set the public hearing for June 11th. We'll be back in the courtroom or in the boardroom. And hold the public hearing that day. I know it was set up for today, which is why I thought that perhaps you were meeting live today. I had planned on coming up there, but I got the word today of the Zoom meeting. So Jason and Natalie, you can give offer whatever input you want on your understanding of the statutory requirements, but I think that it would be appropriate and in keeping with the normal order of events for the budget hearing to be held on June 11th. if I'm getting that date right. I think it's June 11th, and knock out the public hearing requirement that night and adopt the budget the last meeting in June.
Yeah, that's fine. William, you were at the last meeting when they set the public hearing for tonight, the last workshop meeting. When we had this discussion, you were on that Zoom call, but regardless, I don't know, you may advise Alderman Hamlet if it would be best to consider opening the public hearing and then tabling the public hearing until the June 11th date. Is that what my understanding of your recommendation is?
Essentially, yes. Since it was advertised and announced and set for tonight, to open the hearing, and I mean, since it was set for tonight, and
You would know better than me. But
and
I would think a motion reflecting an extension of the public hearing in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic versus tabling the public hearing.
yes, I was getting around to that.
Okay.
Yes, I agree. So
To cut a long story short.
yeah, open the public a hearing. I suppose no one has indicated a desire to speak, and I know there's some other folks on this call, or there were at least, so I should ask Lisa. I mean, did anyone? Okay, Jason shaking his head. So yeah. Open the public hearing and then have a motion to table it until June 11th.
Again, I don't think we table it.
I mean, not table it, continue it.
Yes.
Just do a date and time certain.
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
Gail seconds it.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Gail says aye.
Tim says aye.
Christina says aye.
And Hamlet says aye.
Okay, we are in public hearing.
And with that said, make a motion to extend the public hearing in the wake of COVID-19 to the June 11th meeting at 6:30 and the board chambers.
And Gail seconds that motion.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Gail says aye.
Christina says aye.
Tim says aye.
And Hamlet says aye.
Okay. Motion passes. So next, that will bring us to budget amendments.
In your packet, you should have budget amendments that you should have had an opportunity to review. Again, as we mentioned the last meeting and the meeting before that, this is just year-end closing up things. Is there any questions, concerns about the budget amendments presented?
Okay. Is there a motion we accept the budget amendments as presented?
I'll make a motion to accept the budget amendments as presented.
And who
Is
are
there a
you?
second?
Gail seconds it.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Gail says aye.
Hamlet, aye.
Christina aye.
Shepherd, aye.
Okay. Motion passes. Next, community garden lease, First Baptist Church.
I believe in front of you, you should have an email, if Lisa provided it, from Canton First Baptist Church where they're requesting additional year of lease for their community garden. I think they got a little bit of a late start last year, so it seems like they've made a little bit more progress this year with regard to that already, kind of moving into growing season, but they have asked for an extenuation of that. From a town standpoint, it created no issues for us. They were very conscientious of everything and very accommodating to what the output of growth was. From last year, I'm not sure, but I think it is something that people enjoy. They did not request in this email, but they did request via phone the idea of maybe putting a storage building out there, which staff quickly told them would have to be something that would have to be renewed or reviewed at a later time. But the lease itself could be considered at this meeting as it runs up tonight.
So this has expired, their lease has expired May 23rd. That was last week, right?
Is it May 23rd? I thought it was May 28th.
No, it's the 23rd on mine, isn't it, Lisa?
Okay. I don't see that. Oh, okay. She may have printed out the lease for you. Regardless, it is up for renewal if you also choose.
Gail makes the motion that we renew the lease for First Baptist Church.
Okay. Is there a second?
Christina seconds.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Gail says aye.
Christina, I.
Tim, aye.
Okay. Motion passes. Lease is renewed. Okay. Okay. Next, well, is there any other business in front of the board at this time? Okay. All right. The next regular scheduled meeting will be held June 11th, 2020 at 6:30 p.m. in the Walter Clark Board Chambers. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Gail makes that motion.
Is there a second?
Tim,
Christina
Yeah.
seconds. Oh,
All in favor, say aye.
Gail says aye.
Christina, I.
Tim, aye.
Aye.
All right. We are adjourned.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, y'all.
Nick, I didn't even throw off on you or anything.
Y'all have a good evening.
Next time, Gail, next time.